All right, and then you also have, subject to the Executive Order 13665, again for the subcontracts, contracts over 10,000, and this prohibits pay secrecy policies. I can tell you that almost my entire career, everybody, you know, you can't talk about your salary, right? It's quiet. You know, your employer says, shh, you're not to talk about your salary. Well, the problem is, what does that lead to? After the sexual harassment, the Me Too issue is, well, I didn't know. I didn't know because nobody talked about their pay salary until I found out from my colleague down the hall, he's making $100,000 more than I am. You know, and that's, so the issue here is that you cannot have a policy. And I was just reviewing a contract, just an employment agreement for a contractor the other day that had language that said, you know, our pay is confidential, right? Is it? Is your pay really confidential? So the other thing you have to think about is that notwithstanding the EEOC, and you actually have to have specific language in your handbook. So if you don't have it, you need to make sure your handbook or you have a separate policy on it. But separate and apart from the executive order is the National Labor Relations Act. And the National Labor Relations Act, probably 15 years ago, we thought was just for union, you know, employers, people who had unions in their employment processes. And the National Labor Relations Board General Counsel expanded it much more, and said, well, wait a minute. Actually, it applies to every employer. And so what that means is your employees have the right to engage in what they say is concerted activity, a right to talk about their working conditions and their wages. And so the National Labor Relations Board, and you'll end up with maybe an unfair labor charge, and it go before the National Labor Relations Board on the issue of if you have a policy or you have a practice where you discourage talking about wages, you don't let your employees talk about their wages, you may have a problem as it relates to that.